The Sentapol Wars, Chapter 10. Prince Takeshi was sitting in his private chambers, resting after a day drilling his staff on matters of etiquette and punctuality. He presided over his state with pride and could ill afford a clumsy performance for the upcoming banquet with Lord Kokana, ruler of the Western Realm on the planet Abran. Prince Takeshi was also ambitious, well, insomuch as his wife, Princess Anita, wanted him to be the best he could be, or be more than he could be, as also she aspired to higher offices, higher social status, and of course higher riches. Still, Takeshi did have talent and charm, and he, as much as any prince across the realm, deserved the opportunity to become the next lord after Kokana's retirement. He removed his heavy regalia and boots, which he wore while conducting the mock ritual of Umada Ka with his personal guards, an ancient Amran practice of strength building, exercise, and hand-to-hand combat. They would conduct the ritual again in honor of Lord Kokana upon his arrival. Takeshi will endeavor to parade his strength by swinging large, oversized clubs above his body, followed by stringent body stretching and stance, squatting while chanting the Ramada sermon. Then face off with his guards in the wrestling component of the ritual. Wearing heavy waterproof boots and his combat jacket, they will wrestle on marshy surface to simulate the conditions his ancestors faced during the Great Apocalyptic Revolution, when the people of Raman had almost brought the planet to a state of dissolution due to overdevelopment and progress. The remaining inhabitants were left with no choice but to fight each other for what little resources were left. Many oceans and freshwater lakes had dried up or became quagmires. It was on these surfaces many warriors fought each other bare-fisted, as weaponry was scant. Not only would Takeshi feel the ache in his arms due to his heavy jacket, but will feel the ache in his feet and legs due to the muddy ground. He began rubbing his feet and ankles after the day's exercise when he was alerted by a message from the galactic web on the nearby console. Congratulations and highest blessings, Prince Takeshi. You have been successfully selected to receive a blessing from the Holy Motherly Heavenly Saints of the Sentapol Diocese. Your presence is thus requested at the Heavenly Saints Holy Convent grounds on the third twin solar synchronization of the Plover planetary cycle 40468. Your diplomacy pass is shown below. Coordinates will be sent to your navigation system once you formally accept this invitation. From the Sisters of the Holy Motherly Heavenly Saints, we welcome you to our convent and look forward to bestowing on you a spiritual blessing from our order. May the light of the stars shine on your being. Sister Maria Helena. HMAS Amran, *3, DPM 287. This was good news. Takeshi gasped an expression of excitement. This blessing, this favor, this honorable accreditation, this anointing was soon to be bestowed upon him. He felt privileged and humbled. Well, for a moment. A generous grin curled up on Takeshi's face. This was also the kind of achievement that may well indeed tip the balance in his favor for the selection of the next lord of the Western Realm. Indeed, being from Sentapol, Amran's longtime arch-nemesis, their closest competitor in pursuit of glory and dominion across the galaxy, added extra gloss, prestige, and distinction to the holy blessing. The fact that the two worlds were at war with each other did not boycott the opportunity to visit Sentapol and receive a blessing. The religious order of the Holy Motherly Heavenly Saints was well revered across the galaxy, and the Sentapol government, as well as Amran and many other planets, would gladly grant immunity to those seeking their services, such as the reverence and importance the order received. It wasn't long, however, after Takeshi had read the good news that bad was about to follow. Charging down the great hall of the Luminary Palace, the captain of the guard came marching into Takeshi's quarters with tidings from afar. Prince Takeshi, there has been an assault by the Sentapol Skyforce in the Southern Realm. The town of Ran has been heavily hit by the enemy. Widespread destruction and casualties have been told by the Supreme Council transmission. The enemy, though, completely annihilated. 15 aircraft destroyed before any escaped from our planetary zone. Thank you, Captain. He nodded to his number one officer, signaling he may be dismissed. The captain bowed in return and left Takoshi's quarters. How ironic, thought Takoshi. Sentapol City would be the place where his fortune would rise, yet now Sentapol were a menace on his home planet. Yet Takoshi did not fully believe the report provided by the Supreme Council. It would be unlikely the town of Ran would have enough firepower to bring down 15 elite Skyforce jets, nor would Sentapol take such a risk causing heavy destruction and casualties for such an insignificant reason. He, like many leaders of Amran, princes and mayors, and even one or two lords, were suspect of the military reports the Supreme Council transmitted. But Takoshi begrudgingly accepted the news, as he did not want to jeopardize his chances of moving up in the hierarchy. He consulted his galactic web console for the next solar eclipse on the planet Prova, which was in the next few days. This didn't give him much time, as his banquet with the Lord Kakana was merely the next day. He had more rehearsals to conduct with his staff and Ramada Ka trainings to schedule. His guards and staff would have to continue without him. He could not afford to miss this opportunity of a blessing from the heavenly saints. He pressed down on the button to accept his invitation. Momentarily, a three-dimensional holographic image of the convent was displayed on his holocomputer, and the coordinates were sent to the navigation system on his Royal Starjet. Chapter 11. May the stars of light shine forever on the peoples of the galaxy. Glory to the Eternal One, the provider of the infinite, and holy is his name. Peace to all peoples in the universe. Alanti. Sister Lucy was finishing her prayers this evening. It was her final prayer for the day. She conducted prayers 5 times a day, twice in the morning at first dawn, then again at second dawn, thirdly at solar zenith, then twice again at first sundown, and finally double down. She was conducting her prayer in the room of light. It was like an atrium with natural light coming in through a glass ceiling. It was angular in shape, and at certain times of the year, and at certain times during the day, the light from each star would shine through respective glass ceilings, refracting at an angle and intersecting at a tabernacle. In the center of the tabernacle was a prism where the light would hit and bounce off, creating a dazzling display of light and colors, similar to the helix effect created during a solar eclipse. She then noticed from the convent's computer that a formal blessing had been accepted. She peered at the screen in front of her. It was Prince Takoshi from Amran of the Western Realm. His blessing was scheduled in 3 days at the 3rd solar eclipse, when the twin suns pass in front of each other as they face the planet, occurring every 7 weeks. Sister Lucy's job as novitiate was to initiate preparations for such blessings. She would have to inform her superior, Sister Maria Helena, and prepare an altar on the convent gardens with fire, incense, and water from the fonts of Kumars, which will be drunk from a chalice made of Bajan silver, a precious metal the order uses for spiritual purposes. She would begin preparation tomorrow, but for now she withdrew to her private quarters. Sister Lucy left the room of light and went down the main hallway cloisters of the convent to the dormitories. Her modest room, stylized with pine furniture made from the trees of the Casmal forest at the foot of the mountains. She began removing her coif and garments. She sat down on a bed and glanced at her bedside table when she noticed a message on her personal holovid. Sister Lucy, meet me at Ruby's pension house tomorrow evening. Our movement may finally well have the resources to carry out our supreme goals. You are vital to that success. Let the truth be known. Cooper. The message was from the leader of the ex-Illumini movement she was a devoted member of. She hoped her position among the Sisters of the Heavenly Saints would give her credence and public access to many citizens of Sentapol, in order to sway their belief of a fully utilized armed forces assault on Amran, which had lasted beyond the memory of most people. This was never going to be easy for her. The sisters were always an apolitical, unbiased group and did not believe in interfering with matters of state. In fact, their jurisdiction was much larger than the forces of one planet or two. It reached almost throughout the known galaxy. The reason being was her sophisticated and mysterious understanding of the stars, how they affect the course of planetary systems, and within that, the plight of governments, peoples, and establishments. Many of these institutions, as well as individuals, would seek out divine understandings or blessings to further their own agenda. The orders, 7 established orders in the galaxy and beyond, the Sisters of the Holy Heavenly Saints, was one of the most prominent and certainly the most prevalent in the Sentapol Amaran sector. They did not grant their mysterious wisdom flippantly. There was a thorough process, screening and selection one had to engage in. Needless to say, those successful would receive a blessing, or a vision or favour that was somehow linked to the entity's well-being. Sister Lucy knew the importance her order had, but she could not turn a blind eye to a needless quarrel between two superpowers in the universe. She had also had a personal reason to end the war. While she was young, the Amarans attacked her hometown of Henva, a market town near the many orchards of Lower Sentapol. However, it was not a widespread attack. They destroyed a plantation, 2 warehouses. One civilian house caught fire from the burning debris of a destroyed warehouse. It was her neighbour's house, and regrettably one of the children was killed, a girl, who was Sister Lucy's best friend. She was devastated and at a loss. She remembered seeing the girl's father carry his daughter out of the wrecked house, and he sat and cried. It wasn't long after that 2 officials from the Sentapol government came to her house, her neighbours, and taken refuge in her home. Though they still grieved the loss of her child, the government official offered Lucy's neighbours considerable compensation and a new home. There was also hush money for Lucy's neighbours and her own family. The government did not want word about what actually had happened in the town of Henva. They were going to release their own press conference on Sentapol Air Network, and when Lucy saw the broadcast, she was angry and confused. The Sand broadcast mentioned a number of destroyed orchards, several stone storehouses, bridges, roads, and similar infrastructure, and also casualties, hundreds. They videoed the body of Lucy's childhood friend as an emotional impact. Her parents and her neighbours accepted the credits and tried to explain to Lucy what it was for, but Lucy was still upset and irate. She saw a contradiction between honour and truth. One did not outweigh the other, nor did it negate. In her mind, the loss of her best friend needed to be honoured and grieved. Equally important was the truth of circumstances surrounding her death. It was not a massive air attack from Amaran raiders, but a light assault on some immaterial resource by one raider. For most people in the town, there was no need to make the distinction when they had just lost one of their dearest children. But not for Lucy. She felt insulted by the political spin the government would use from the death of the child and decided it was an unjustifiable wrong that needed to be eradicated.